Hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another concert review. Today, I am just now getting back September the 15th from the Lime Kiln Theater in Lexington, Virginia. If you don't know Lexington, it is about an hour south of Harrisonburg, Virginia, which is the home of James Madison University. Um, Harrisonburg is the home of uh, uh, Old Crow Medicine Show, excuse me. Lexington, Virginia. If you know the Military Institute VMI or Washington and Lee University, those are both in Lexington, Virginia. But they also hold this little outdoor natural amphitheater called the Lime Kiln. Now, this is my first visit to the Lime Kiln. What an experience it was! I got to see one of my favorite bands, Marty Stuart and his fabulous Superlatives. As you can see, I'm wearing the Marty Stuart shirt, which I wear a lot in my videos. This is representing the new album, which he is currently touring under, called Altitude. Currently neck and neck for the best album of 2023. I've talked about this album ad nauseum. If you like cosmic country, if you like the Byrds, if you like Tom Petty, if you like straight ahead country music, get this album. It is superb. Um, it is just, there are some great musical interludes in it, some instrumentals that kind of tie the whole album together. There are Marty and the Boys. Of course, you have Chris Scruggs, bass player, Harry Stinson on the drums and vocals, and Kenny Vaughn on the lead guitar with Marty. And this is just a fantastic record. I can't say enough nice things about it. There she is, right there. And I mean, I've listened to this album so much this year, and still have a few more months left in the year to listen to it some more. There's the back cover, and those are the outfits that the guys were in tonight. Essentially, Marty had a pretty nice pink scarf on tonight, but otherwise, those are the outfits that those guys were in tonight. And this is my fourth time seeing Marty Stuart. The first time I saw him and the Superlatives, they were backing up Roger McGuinn and Chris Hillman in 2018 on the Sweetheart of the Rodeo tour. Then I got to see them open for Steve Miller Band in 2019 in Lynchburg, Virginia. I saw them last July at the Coves Amphitheater. I did a review on that in Union Hall, Virginia. So this is my fourth time seeing Marty and the Boys. If they're ever within an hour of me, I'm going to go. I've made that decision. I made that decision last year that if they're within an hour, I'm seeing them. Got this cool little sticker at the show. I don't have any Marty Stuart memorabilia like that, so that was cool. I'm going to put that on the guitar case. I show up to the theater. Again, it probably holds 500-ish people. And it's kind of like a tiny little mini Red Rocks because it's inside of like this bowl with natural rock. Lime, well, I mean, it was an old kiln. And I get there and I could tell by the stage setup that Marty was going to be doing an acoustic show because there was no drum set out. There were several acoustic guitars. I only saw one electric. I did not see the famous Clarence White B-Bender guitar that Marty Stuart plays. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Essentially, Marty Stuart has Clarence White's guitar that he played on so many Byrds sessions with. And I've never seen Marty fully acoustic. I have my grandfather and my uncle saw him acoustic a few years ago. So I wasn't expecting it. I was not disappointed. I mean, I was not like, oh, I wish. I was like, ooh, this is going to be different. Because if anybody has seen Marty Stuart, you know that he does a lot of the same kind of stage talk at each show, kind of like Paul McCartney. It's kind of the same jokes. Like they always do the instrumental song Mojave from Way Out West, the album that preceded Altitude. And he's always like, he's like, well, tonight, whatever town he's in, that's the surf capital of the world. And so like I've seen him I've seen him 3 times doing his full set, and he's made that joke every time. Ever since 2019, he's done that joke. And everybody, I mean, the people that have never seen him are always like, yeah, that's cool. But he does it all the time. I'm sure the guys in the band are sick of it. And he was just on top of his game. I mean, Marty Stuart is just a phenomenon live. So no opener. They come out 90-minute set, just like I knew it was going to be. Um, Open with the song "Crying, Waiting, Hoping," the Buddy Holly song, which they did on a compilation, which I have right here. I believe this is the one. Yep, it's called "Not Fade Away," remembering Buddy Holly, and I love that version of that song. And I've never heard Marty do it live, and I was like, wow, that is really cool that they're doing that song. And they went right into the instrumental Mississippi Railroad Blues from the Ghost Train album. Then they go into one of his big hits, Tempted, and do the first song, the first of a few songs from this album, Tomahawk, which is just such a cool cosmic country tune. And that was the first, and first of only two times that an electric guitar made an appearance. Cousin Kenny Vaughn played that guitar. I believe it was like a 12-string D'Angelo guitar. And it just sounded so good. They did the song "Sitting Alone," also from this album. And actually, I heard that song last year before they even announced the new record. And he tells the story of that he wrote it up in Maine on tour before COVID and had no idea what the song was about. He said, and then COVID happened and the song made sense. He told that story last July and he told it again tonight. So very, very cool. Then they did another instrumental, a couple of instrumentals just to satisfy you. Mojave from, again, like I said, Way Out West. And then he also gives each of the band members a chance to do 2 tracks. So the first one was Kenny Vaughn. He comes out, and it was funny. I was just telling some family members the same thing. Earlier this year, I went to go see the Wood Brothers in Charlottesville, and they did a cover of the song "It's All Over Now," which the Rolling Stones made very popular. And tonight, Kenny Vaughn sang "It's All Over Now" in a country form with a little bit of rock to it. So that was really cool to hear that. And then he did one of his own songs called "Hot Like That." They did a version of 6 Days on the Road. They did a stellar version of "El Paso" by Marty Robbins. Beautiful. I know when my uncle and my granddad saw them, they talked about how they did "El Paso" and it was killer. And I had never heard them do it other than on YouTube live. And so to hear it live, cousin Kenny Vaughn just played it note for note. The classical guitar, just beautiful how he did it. And Chris Scruggs, he did the bass player. Again, he's the grandson of Earl Scruggs, the banjo player. He did a Bob Wills tune, and then he did his take on Wipeout, which they've done a couple times that I've seen them, where he just plays the on the stand-up bass, and he rips it up every time. I mean, every time it's always like, oh, they're gonna do Wipeout again, but then they do it, and you're like, oh yeah, it's still pretty good. And Harry, the drummer, Handsome Harry is his nickname. They all have nicknames, so it's Professor Chris, Cousin Kenny, and Handsome Harry. Handsome Harry came out and he did his take on Pretty Boy Floyd, the Woody Guthrie song, which I've heard him do a couple different times. And he always does a great version. He always holds that note where he's like, "We'll gather round." He holds round out for so long. And just such a great high tenor. Harry also played with Steve Earle for quite a bit in the 80s. He's played with a bunch of people, and he's the longest tenured member in Marty's group. And then he did a Johnny Horton song. Again, the other guys left the stage. Marty did "Orange Blossom Special" on the mandolin. It's the original mandolin that he was playing as a 13-year-old kid with Lester Flatt's band. And then they did an acoustic version of "Time Don't Wait," which is a very Birdsy, Petty kind of song, Tom Petty kind of song that they wrote for Way Out West. That's kind of been their closing for the set for every time that I've seen them. And it's my favorite of theirs. It's so jangly. It's got that classic "Feel a Whole Lot Better" sound by the Byrds. That bow down down bow down down down. Just so good. It's so good. And they did it acoustic, and they had the acoustic 12-string guitar. It was so good, and the audience was upstanding, clapping. beautiful night, about 60 degrees Fahrenheit here in the States in Virginia. Perfect fall night. I was wearing the denim and everything, so it was just like, it felt like the beginning of fall. It was awesome. And then they come out. I mean, they kind of stepped off the stage for a second, but there's no backstage because it's outdoors. So they came back out, and he kind of was like, "What do y'all want to hear?" And so, people started shouting some of his big hits. So he did "Hillbilly Rock," um, and one other song I can't remember off the top of my head, but then they closed with the song from Altitude called Space, which is a very, very kind of psychedelic, trippy kind of tune. Very, very, it takes its time, and it's awesome. He's playing the electric sitar guitar, which was cool because Steve Miller also played that same guitar when I saw him in 2019 when Marty and the boys opened for him. And so they closed with Space. They had like lights up in the trees and just like the sounds of like the insects and the cicadas outside. Again, it was a sold out show. You could smell the food that was in the food trucks. It was just a beautiful night. It was awesome. And I was kind of sitting behind the soundboard off to the side, so they weren't in front of me. But I noticed that they had a set list, and I've never picked up a set list from a show ever. I've never been lucky enough to get it because I don't think I'm a cute enough girl to get a set list from the rock and roll dudes. Like, I'm not a girl, so they're not going to hand it to me, and I'm not a little kid, so I'm kind of in a bad spot to get set lists. But this time I saw the sound guys, knew that they had a set list, and I said, "Hey, I was leaving. Do y'all have a set list?" First I said, like, y'all did a great job because the sound was just superb. It sounded so good. And on Space, they did this really trippy thing where they made the voices come in and out of the two different sides of the outdoor amphitheater, so it sounded like it was like going around your head. It was wild. It was so good. And the guy was like, "Yeah, I've got a set list." And so I got the set list, which is not 100% accurate, but it's pretty close. So I'm happy to have this. I'm going to frame it, I think, with my sticker that I got. And it was just a great capstone to a fantastic evening. So if y'all don't know the album Altitude, stream it, listen to it, buy it. It is just superb if you like the Byrds, if you like jangly, if you like country, if you like good songwriting, tight harmonies, get this record. So there you go, everybody. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've seen Marty, and I'll be interested to talk to you in the comments. In the meantime, y'all be good, take care, and we'll talk to y'all real soon. Bye now.